Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Technology Executives Club with another spotlight interview with my new good friend, Josh Rose with Zagger.ai. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Doing great, Alex. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. Now, as I recall, you're in San Rafael, right?
Yeah, just north of San Francisco. I've been here about 20 years now.
That's the extended heart of the Silicon Valley, right?
When I started my career, I did the commute down to Palo Alto for the first decade. It
Y-
was a commitment.
Yeah, oh, I believe it. I've been to Palo Alto. I've taken a walk on that hill that everybody takes a walk on. It's a beautiful area. But what's really cool, obviously, for many years, the center of invention for the tech space, right?
Yep.
So you're right in the heart of it. So that's great. So tell us about what you're doing over at Zagger.
AI is getting better at a really rapid speed, but there's this gap between what the models can do and what businesses need to make AI work for them. And we're filling that gap for people.
Just
80% of enterprise AI pilots fail to launch. Everyone knows the promise of AI, and AI projects are failing because the companies that are trying to launch AI don't have access to the data that's needed to make it work. And it's a lot more data than people think it is. The reason why is people don't have access to the real data that's needed to make it work. And that data exists, but it's not in accessible places. It's
oh,
messy. It's in the conversations that people have. It's in their emails. It's in their chats. It's
yeah.
organic. And that's what's needed to make AI work. We make that organic, messy, real world data accessible to AI, and the results are really outstanding.
Wow. That's really interesting. So you're talking about tribal knowledge, right? The stuff that's on the spreadsheets, like the lady maybe has been doing logistics for you, and God
Yeah,
forbid she leaves, right?
exactly. And not just the tribal knowledge,
Yeah.
the history of tribal knowledge. So
Yeah.
if you've got a 20-year archive of people's documents,
Yeah.
lessons
Oh,
learned, we can bring all that in and turn that into a living asset that you can actually use and maybe stop relearning those lessons.
that's really interesting because I've heard our CIOs and our peer groups talk about tribal knowledge, and they always talk about, like I said, the spreadsheets and everything. So you're talking about that, but you're also talking about the emails. Hey, why don't we do it this way? Kind of,
Emails, the Jira tickets, if you're doing software, the group chats, if you've got those, all of that from all those different data sources can be brought in and made into actually actionable, ownable IP. We can, from that, generate repeatable, reliable workflows that the AI can help you execute.
really. So you
So
you can turn that knowledge into workflows that can then be automated.
the people who are your best people will help us guide through the process of identifying what is the best knowledge hidden within all that tribal data. And we can out the gate get a 30-40% increase in efficiency almost every time. Yeah.
That's
And by
huge.
the way, I want to say that again, a 30 to 40 increase in efficiency, that's not a human replacement. People who are talking about human replacement have a much bigger hill to go up. We're not trying to do that, but we can reliably get you those efficiency boosts. And that I think is really exciting.
Okay, I hear what you're saying now. So we're talking about getting those people that are doing a lot of these real mission critical workflows in
Yeah.
your organization. They're doing it with their spreadsheets, their emails, the stuff that's in their head. You're going to help them become more efficient by helping them automate those key workflows through your tool.
That's right. And anything that they're having to do in order to make the good decisions, all of that stuff we can automate, put the information that they need right in front of them, sometimes with additional analysis, and that empowers them to make the best decisions as fast as possible. It's a data management and worker interface for an AI enabled business. That's a very forward looking statement because no one's seen a fully AI enabled business yet, but we have a pretty good idea what we think that's going to be. You want to
Yeah,
own that as the business owner. You don't want to trust that to someone else. So you're going to bring all that in. It's going to be your data. You're going to own it. Then you're going to manage which of your workers has access to what slices of that data. And then those workers are going to have workflows that let them do what they need to do. So it's the operating system for the AI enabled business.
okay. That's a huge statement. I see the promise. Let's talk about examples. Why don't you share a couple use cases so people really see how powerful this is?
Yeah, so I'll go back to last November when we were
Okay.
actually launching our prototype,
Yeah.
and our first use case was actually a grant writing workflow for a
Oh,
California nonprofit. It's a large, complicated process, right?
yeah.
You're generating a document where you cannot have hallucinations, right? You're making statements to get money. You can't commit fraud, right? And you're working with a large amount of historical knowledge that's highly
Hmm.
specific. So they had a archive of grants that they valued highly, so it couldn't be shared with OpenAI or Anthropic, and that was their 16-year archive of data. So we were able to ingest that and turn it into a tool for their grant writers. And it does not write the grants for the grant writers, but it does reduce their time to do a grant by 30%
Mm.
by giving
Wow.
them, yeah, right. And then it also had an interesting side effect, which is the onboarding time for new grant writers went from 3 months to 1 month, which I did not anticipate, but it makes sense because suddenly the new team member has all that tribal knowledge right there as a helpful tool. We call it a knowledge partner,
Yeah.
and they have that knowledge partner with them to guide them through welcome to your new job. Here's how we do things here.
Wow. That's a great example. I know from talking to our CIO community, CTOs, technology leader community, that the key is to pick the right projects, right? You pick the
Yeah.
right projects. And so that's a project area that you help these folks with. That is the core of their business is the grant writing. And that makes a lot of sense. That's a great example. What would be another?
Yeah, so I've got a couple more lead gen examples that are pretty specific. They're different people using it for lead gen.
Yeah.
And then I have some people that are using it actually for project management.
Okay.
And then we have some theoretical uses that are more science fiction. Interestingly enough, three other groups have come forward who are using it for lead generation and for outreach.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
It makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
And each one of them, interestingly, has their own logic for how they do lead gen. One of them is doing account-based marketing. They all have their different techniques, and they're
Yeah.
able to come in and say, okay, here's my proprietary way of doing lead gen. Here's the research I want. And then based off that research, give me my first generation of outreach and my follow-up. And then they read that, make sure that the AI didn't put in too many M dashes and sends it out.
Yeah.
And then this is why we're a firm believer in the human in the loop, right? Like we're
Yeah.
not making them a fully AI automated outreach program. They could turn on automation and make it fully automated if they want to, but we highly recommend that you keep that human going, oh, this is who we're talking to. Oh, this is what we're going to say. Yeah, let's go say that. And that's an easy enough step for the humans to do.
That is clearly a great ROI type applications because you have reps. Let's say you have 100 people, but you get one guy or gal and she's killing it all the time. So you're doing this with her. You see what she's doing, then you can spread it out.
You bring that person in, sit down with the AI, let's work out how to teach the AI how to do what you're doing. Then you now have that as a workflow, and now that can be rolled out to as many people as you want.
That's huge.
And additionally, so the first group that did it, they were doing 60 minutes per response on average to
Yeah.
do these highly customized outreach.
Yeah.
They now do 8 minutes per response. So that's a really big win.
That's a huge win.
You're right. These are the promises that AI has been making.
Yeah.
And what we're finding is when you put the custom data in, the custom logic, the custom information, suddenly it's actually really able to give you what you need. It's not that solution won't work for everyone, but for that team, it's the right solution.
So you're making highly productive people even more productive, and you're able to spread these workflows that they're doing to other parts of your team.
We're able to take
That's
that invisible knowledge, turn it into ownable IP that then can drive repeatable, reliable outcomes.
That's very interesting. Okay, let's talk about another use case. I think you were telling me earlier you help with software development. Tell me how that works.
So everyone's been talking about using AI to write code, which is
Yeah.
really exciting. That's starting to work. And what that exposes is that there's a lot of the rest of the software development lifecycle that is the activity around writing code.
Yeah.
And that
That's true.
activity is now the roadblock. You need to provide plans, you need to update those plans, you need to have team meetings, you need to have customer meetings. And that is now where the majority of the work has to happen, because once everything's defined and it can go to an AI, the code can get written much faster. So what this team is doing is they're automating all of their project management, which is messy and organic. Some of it is in emails with clients, some of it is in team meetings, some of it is in Jira tickets, and they're able to bring all that in. And then by having that in Zagger, number one, they can onboard new people much faster.
Yeah.
Number two, their team communication starts going much smoother. Now, they're pretty early on. I don't have numbers for how much better it is yet, other than they're very enthusiastic about what it's doing for their team and communication. That's promising.
I can see that being a good area. It doesn't even have to be software development for you. Talking about anything that involves projects, everything, any kind of project. But I like how you're focusing on that niche, which is huge
Well,
for
any
people.
project where you have cross-team, cross-expertise communication, it's going to be a boom.
And that's the soft skill type of stuff that can make the difference between the winners and the losers, frankly, or the efficient folks or the people that aren't so efficient. So those are the soft skills. Wow.
We have several design partners we're working with, and honestly, the design partners keep coming up with stuff that's interesting that I didn't expect that, which makes it more interesting. One of them decided he wanted to make a virtual twin of himself. He's an executive who has a 30-year archive of all of his digital work.
Wow. Yeah.
And he's decided to ingest his entire archive, and he now has access to his entire 30-year archive of personal work as a knowledge partner that he can talk to when he's working on new things. So I didn't expect to see that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
We were talking to a lawyer, and he looked at it, and because we do a lot around privacy and data management.
Yeah.
He looked at it and he said, you could create, he said it was a confessional in a box. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you go put this on premise in a closet. You can ingest everything from a company, and you find out where all of the problems are that the legal team needs to come in and talk about. And I said, okay, I had not thought of that as a use case, but yes, which actually inspired us. We then added a new feature, which is a filter on the front of Ingestin. So as an organization, if you're saying, you know what, we don't want to bring in people's private communications, we just want to bring in the stuff that's relevant to the project, we now have an AI on the front of the system that you can use to filter out that irrelevant data.
That's really fascinating.
Lots of fun, interesting use cases. Every time we bring on a design partner, they find new things for it to do, which is really exciting for us because it says we've made a very powerful tool.
Josh, this has been really great. It's very interesting what you're doing. I think you're on to solving a real problem. And I know right now you're in Silicon Valley. I believe you're in what you call closed beta right now, correct? So what kinds of companies are you looking to work with right now in this stage of rolling out the product and the service for people?
Yeah. So one of the things that's really special about Zagger is because of how we architected it, because of how we built it, it can go a lot of places that other AI can't go. Places where people are concerned about privacy or legal compliance, other things like that, that stop AI from being a tool that they can use. We're actually a tool that can be used by them. We can put AI on their premise with a private LLM, so no one ever touches their data. So we're looking for people who have concerns that's stopping them from using other AI and have problems that they need solved. We've got a small group of design partners who are in our closed beta. We can always handle one or two more if they have interesting problems. If they have large amounts of messy data, big archives of messy data, that's our specialty. We love that also.
That's great. So people who want to get to their data, but they have legal reasons why maybe they haven't applied AI to it, you're looking for folks like that can help you with this.
Yeah, you have privacy concerns. I came out of entertainment, and I know that places like Disney and Sony are not going to put their IP into someone else's system.
No, of course not. Yeah. So this is their own private LLM environment that has these capabilities that you're doing. Josh, this has been a lot of fun. Very interesting what you're doing. And I know you're going to be very successful with this. You're solving a real problem for a lot of people. This has been Alex Jarett with Josh Rose, who's the co-founder and CEO of Zagger.ai. Josh, great to see you. And congratulations on your success with this project.
Thank you very much.